So yes, ladies and gentlemen, we had mentioned that we will be continuing with the panel discussion, but right now we move forward as we have our special dignitary, yes, in the house, and it's time to invite him onto the stage to present the valedictory keynote. Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us none other than the Principal Secretary of Industries and Commerce and Information Technology Department of Telangana Government, Mr. Jayesh Ranjan. And yes, let me just give you a brief introduction about him. His assignment involves developing policy frameworks, attracting new investments, identifying opportunities for utilizing IT in various government processes, and promoting the digital empowerment of the citizens. His last few assignments have been in the industrial promotion sector as Commissioner and MD of the Industries Department, Secretary in the Tourism Promotion Department, and Vice Chairman of the Hyderabad Urban Development Authority, all for 2-3 years each, and various rural assignments in different parts of the state for over 12 years, working in diverse sectors like tribal development, natural resources management, poverty alleviation, and other related social development sectors. Mr. Jayesh Ranjan supports many social, cultural, and charitable causes and is on the board's advisory committee of the United Way, Hyderabad, Save a Child's Heart Foundation, Young Lives India, Save the Children, Sparsh Hospice, APMAS, and many more of such foundations. And today he is amongst us, with us, to speak to all of us for the valedictory note. So ladies and gentlemen, with a huge round of applause, let's welcome Mr. Jayesh Ranjan.
Thank you very much. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, my congratulations to NASCOM team for organizing NASTech 2022 in different important technology hubs in our country and bringing this series to Hyderabad today. I was told that there were some very fascinating technology demonstrations, some very interesting sessions to tell you about the way technology is going to shape our future. So thank you once again. I would like to give you, in maybe about 10 minutes or so, government's perspective on technology and particularly new generation technology or emerging technology. So let me tell you a quick backstory. Let me go back in time and tell you a very interesting anecdote. Am I okay? Speed-wise? Okay, right. So many of you will know that Telangana as a state was created in June 2014, on 2nd of June to be precise. And few days later, I think it was 5th June, if I'm not mistaken, our Minister for Information Technology, he organized a brainstorming session with lots of intellectuals, domain experts, people who understand growth strategies, economics, etc. This event happened at the Indian School of Business. This was called Envision Telangana, like how do you create a new vision for the state? And the question which was posed in that brainstorming session to all the experts was that, see, just let me digress for 30 seconds. See, some of you will know this for sure, but I can tell this for the benefit of others, that the reason for demanding a separate state of Telangana and then eventually getting it materialized in 2014 was that when this region was a part of the larger state, there was always this feeling that this state is, this region is not getting proper attention. All the opportunities are getting taken away by people from the other parts. And we are missing the bus, so to say. So the question which was, and this went on for almost 6 decades plus. So in that Envision session, the brainstorming session on looking at Telangana from new eyes, the question which was posed was that we have missed out on opportunities for 6, 7 decades now. So how do you make up for the lost time? In fact, I remember, see, when we speak in a general way, if you have to do something very fast, we typically use an expression, how do you fast track? And sometimes when you have to do things even faster, then we use another expression, how do you leapfrog? Like a frog, you jump from here to there maybe. So it shows that there is a greater sense of urgency. But I remember in that conference, in that seminar, our minister used a third phrase, which is so evocative. The phrase that he used was that how do you pole vault? So pole vault, as you will know, like you're jumping 10 times your height or 20 times your height, and you do it all of a sudden. So that was the question which was posed, that 7 decades have gone by, we have missed the bus, but how do you catch up? How do you make up for the lost time? How do you pole vault? And there were approximately 20 people in the room, lots of faculty from ISB, Triple IT, other intellectuals. And person after person after person mentioned in that room that technology is the only answer. I mean, if you really want to make up for the lost time, if you really want to deliver all kinds of benefits to people, all kinds of results, the only way you can do that is by adopting technology. And that was a very important message which came our way, that the state should really lead the way in pushing the frontiers of technology. So few things which we did was that at that point in time, we kind of asked around, we consulted people to find out which are the new generation technologies which are showing lots of potential. So we have identified 8 technologies, this is way back in 2014, that we will really be taking the lead, will become a pioneer government in this country to really show how these technologies can be grown, developed, nurtured, and most importantly, adopted in government processes. So some of these 8 technologies are today quite known to all of us. They included data sciences, they included artificial intelligence, robotics, blockchain, IoT, cybersecurity, and so on and so forth. So there were 8 of them. And then a couple of years later, we felt that digital entertainment technologies was one, which includes animation, gaming, AR, VR, etc. 2 years ago, when we were updating this policy, typically government policies have a tenure of 5 years. So when 5 years have gone by, when we were updating the policy a year before, we added a couple of more frontiers. So space tech has become very important, and we have chosen to work in space tech and a couple of other things. So as you know, lots of technologies are being spoken of today in the bucket of smart cities. So how do you use technology to really improve the citizens' experience of dealing with the government in a city or even in a rural context, etc. So this was the first thing which we did, that we identified which are the technologies where the government should really take that pioneering role and bring all the stakeholders together. The second very important thing which we did was that, of course, this was put in our policy that we will play a leading role in bringing all these technologies in the forefront. But the second very important decision which we took was, see, typically it is commented upon very adversely about India, that great policies are written, some brilliant ideas are shown in the policies, but nothing actually happens on the ground. Policies are written in good English, sometimes they are printed on glossy paper, so it feels very nicely. If you bring the paper close to your nose, maybe it will smell also very nicely. So it will read nicely, smell nicely, feel nicely, but nothing happens on the ground. So if you really dive deep into this, why is it that policies don't get translated into action? One of the reasons is historically in all Indian states, even in the national government, that no one takes complete ownership and responsibility for translating that policy into action. And let us say this is a technology policy. I'm the IT secretary. So in a vicarious way, I'm responsible for it, which is true. But then I'm responsible for 100 of other things also. So I may be passionate about technology, about emerging technologies, but there are 500 other things on my plate. So obviously, I'll not be 24/7 on that. So we have recognized this in Telangana, and what we have done is that we have created institutions to translate everything which we have committed in a policy into action with the help of those dedicated institutions. And for these emerging technologies, this is exactly we did. So we created a separate wing, which is called the Emerging Technologies Wing, and we brought in lots of talent to run that wing. And most of the talent which is there in our Emerging Technologies Wing is talent which we have procured from the open market. They are not government employees. They are all people who have a proven track record in trying out frontier technologies, and people who have themselves actually designed technology-enabled solutions in their private careers. But we were able to motivate them to join the government and give them lots of respect, lots of recognition, lots of autonomy. And again, as I said, for the past 7, 8 years, they're delivering quite a lot. The other thing which we did was that in each of these technologies that we have chosen to dabble into, we have brought out a framework. I mean, what exactly does the government intend to do there? So I'll just give one example, but the way this particular example pans out, the same is true of all the technologies. So I see Praveen sitting before me. He's in my line of sight. I can give the example of artificial intelligence. So what did we do? So first of all, we created a framework on how will the government use AI. And there are different pillars in our framework. So for example, talent development, how will we train people, particularly students, in understanding AI, in developing AI algorithms, in utilizing AI. So talent development is one stream. Many of you will know that AI actually requires huge data sets. Many times these data sets are available in the government, but access to people is missing. So how do you really make those data sets available? There's an element of high performance computing. When huge, humongous data sets are available, how is your computing infrastructure able to take care of the volumes, the numbers? So how do you make high performance computing available? There is also an element of ethics in artificial intelligence, governance, ethics, privacy, confidentiality, transparency, and so on and so forth. So how does the state take leadership in promoting responsible use of AI? And then another very important element is that how do you really adopt AI solutions in the government itself? See, it is very easy to preach, tell everyone else that AI is great, but have you done enough to show that you are serious about it? So how do you adopt AI in different opportunities which various government departments can present? So every framework of ours, it could be the blockchain framework, it could be the IoT framework, it could be the cybersecurity framework. Every framework tells very clearly what are the responsibilities of the government. And the framework also tells who else will be involved in implementing this policy. So to what extent will we involve academic institutions? To what extent we will involve the private companies? Lots of important role is being played by startups these days. I was told that today morning also, Skyroot, one of the latest success stories from Hyderabad in space tech, they were here. So we all know that startups are doing brilliant work and they are really making some very exceptional path-breaking kind of technologies available for people. So what role do startups play in all these emerging technologies? So that is the second very important question that we decide. The third very important thing is a governance framework. We want all the emerging technology work that we do in the government to be participatory. We want all the stakeholders to join hands with us and support us. So as I said, I'm going to give you the example of artificial intelligence. So for running AI programs in Telangana, we have created something which is called TAIM, Telangana Artificial Intelligence Mission. The mission has lots of domain experts from private companies. We have some very senior people from academic institutions who are part of it. I represent the government in that. And with the help of NASCOM, we have set up a Center of Excellence on Data Sciences here. So TAIM and the Center of Excellence runs multiple kind of programs. I mentioned about government's own intent of showcasing the use of emerging technologies in our own programs. And we are very, very conscious of it, that if you preach but don't practice, your whole credibility will fall on its face. And again, I feel very proud to share with you that in the past 8 years, If I look at all the emerging technologies that I spoke about, in the past 8 years, there will be at least 50 plus. I mean, I don't have precise count. I should have better prepared for this lecture by actually taking the numbers. But anecdotally, I can tell you that it is 50 plus solutions which have been tried out in different government departments in Telangana. And I attend lots of national meetings, our union ministries meetings, conferences, etc., organized by other organizers. I don't hear any other state making such a claim that 50 plus emerging technology solutions have been implemented in the government itself. So I feel very proud about it. And I can give you many examples, but I'd like to give you one example. I also have the clock before me. So, and I see that I have 6 minutes more. So the example which I would like to share with you, again, it is something about which we feel very proud about. See, many of you will know that when elections happen in our country, and you know elections are it's a very big deal in our country, but people also find it very inconvenient to participate in the voting process, and everyone is harassed, whether you are a rich person or an ordinary person. There are all kinds of inconveniences that you have to navigate through. So people have been speaking about, rather dreaming about, what is called remote voting. You don't have to step out of your home. You sit in your room and you just participate in the election by casting your vote using your mobile phone. Now, even in most advanced countries like the United States and China, for that, of course, in China there are no elections, but let us say United States or Europe, I mean, even these countries have not adopted such a refined way of engaging people in voting. The only country where, to some extent, e-voting happens is a small country called Estonia. It's a Baltic country, pretty advanced in technology, so no wonder that they do it. But we were able to very successfully demonstrate in a live situation. It's not a pilot with some 4 people sitting in my office voting with their remote and I'm claiming that I have mastered it. It's a live situation in which 3,500 voters in a town not very far from Hyderabad called Khammam actually participated in a municipal election using remote voting. And as many of you will know, voting in our country, apart from the inconvenience it is causing to the voters, is also a very contentious kind of a situation. Political parties object to literally everything. In fact, all of us will recall that elections are used in, EVMs are used, electronic voting machines are used in our country. But typically after every election, we also see parties blaming the EVMs, that I pressed whichever button I wanted, but all the votes went to, let us say, the BJP or someone, and people have hacked the elections. And so even a kind of a robust system like what happened? They have blocked the clock. Even a robust system like the EVM is not able to kind of escape this kind of blame and criticism, etc. So keeping in mind all possible scenarios where people can complain, doubt, allege, we created a system, an application, which is based on 3 very important technologies. So as you would know, one of the most important challenges during the election time is to identify the voter. If you ever have voted and have gone to a voting station, a polling station rather, you will notice that some people are sitting there who are called polling agents. And their main responsibility is to confirm that the person who has come to vote is you only and not someone else. There's no impersonation. So imagine a scenario in which millions of people are sitting in their homes, there is no agent to monitor you, and still you can show that you are not impersonating everyone. So it's a very difficult, complex problem to crack. And we used artificial intelligence. We created a very strong facial recognition tool backed by AI and ML to actually power that solution. And we were able to show in this Khammam election that it works beautifully. And of course, the second part is, just as there are complaints which come on on this EVMs, that when the votes are stored in the EVM, people are hacking it and all that. Here also it's a dilemma, like when you are remotely voting, your vote goes to a particular server. How do you ensure that it is not hacked? So many of you would have guessed it. We have a blockchain-based solution to ensure that every vote which is cast is properly encrypted, it is put in a block, and then only the returning officer has the way to decrypt it and announce the results, etc. So we are pushing the technology frontier in these kind of areas where people are still dreaming about. So that is something which I can let you know. And even though the clock is not visible, I presume that it's just a minute or so which is left for me. So the concluding point which I would like to tell you is that all the work that we do in different technologies, 9 of them, as I mentioned, we regularly publish what we are doing, how we are doing, whom we would like to collaborate regularly on our websites. So please keep an eye. We also post it on different kinds of social media where we are present. So right now, again, it's good that the clock is not visible. I want to take a couple of minutes more. I can tell this to you that since I mentioned blockchain, one very important area where we see the world moving forward is Web 3.0. Many of you would know that amazing work is happening using Web 3.0 in metaverse. Lots of work is happening in the area of arts, culture, sports, financial transactions, literally everything. But we also know that Web 3.0, the regulatory regime around it is not very clear. In the national government itself, there are differences of opinion. Unfortunately, Web 3.0 is being equated with crypto, and on crypto, as we all know, Reserve Bank, there's a very serious pushback from them. So our government has decided to set up a regulatory sandbox on Web 3.0. In fact, just 2 days ago, we announced this in an event which happened in Bangalore called ETH India. And again, the industry has really appreciated the fact that a government is taking this lead. Normally, these are the things which the national government should do. But they are very appreciative that a state government, that to a progressive state like Telangana, has taken these kind of steps. So in each of these emerging technologies, whatever is the maturity of that technology, whatever is the intervention which the government requires to do, for example, for Web 3.0, it is still an emerging area where regulations are the biggest roadblock. So we have decided to intervene there. For artificial intelligence, there is no such roadblock. There are no regulatory challenges. Data, size of data, high-powered computing, all those things have been taken care of. Now the idea is to use your imagination to find out some of the pain points which people can only think is possible or perhaps is not possible, but to show them that AI has a solution there. So we are now, it's really like moving towards a moonshot kind of a solution. In blockchain, the attempt is to find more and more use cases to solve some problems which are considered very, very complex. Problems where there is huge levels of trust deficit, lack of transparency, and so on and so forth. So this is the way a state government like ours is trying to bring technology at the center stage in delivering all kinds of services to people, encouraging the private companies, encouraging startups, academic institutions, even overseas partners to work with us. And we are pretty successful in whatever we have done so far. So literally the last sentence would be that keep an eye on what all we do. And if your interests are aligned with some of the work that we do, we'll be very happy to take you on board, take your help, give you some use case, help you with some data procurement. Whatever is your challenge that you are facing, please feel free to kind of collaborate and work with us. So once again, I'm grateful to NASSCOM for not only organizing this conference, but kind of showing this flexibility in your schedule. I know that there is a fascinating panel discussion which is yet to happen, but I'm glad that you kind of moved me up and gave me this chance to deliver this valedictory address. So thank you once again and have a great session.